Film photography has skyrocketed in the past 5 years. Creators and artists have started using their newfound passion to capture their daily lives. But with the rise of film photography comes a new set of challenges. What film should I buy? How do I load the film onto my camera? And perhaps the most important, how much does it cost to scan and develop my film? Now, like I mentioned in my previous video, film is very expensive and there is a huge learning curve when it comes to film photography. You will make a lot of mistakes at the beginning. I personally still make mistakes today, and I've been doing film for a while now. So it is not a cheap way to learn photography. But what if I told you I have a simple and cheap solution to get the same film vibe without the hassle associated with the traditional film process? This is part one of a series of videos that I am making about film photography on a budget. I will share some of the best ways that you can achieve this same result without breaking the bank. So if you want to learn more about that, feel free to subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys here. All right, so what is it, Rick? You've been telling us all this crazy stuff about saving and making awesome film photos on a budget. Tell us what it is. Okay, so I'm talking about the camera, the Camp Snap camera. This is a small 8 megapixel camera that shoots digital photos, and we're gonna talk about it. All right, now let's briefly talk about this camera and why I feel it has a lot of cool features none of the other cameras like this have. First, let's go ahead and talk about some of the specs that this camera has. I'm just gonna read them off my phone. This is where I have all of my notes. And this camera is an 8 megapixel camera with a 4.8 millimeter lens with an f2.8 aperture. Another thing about this, and I have a second little angle here so you guys can see the camera that I'm talking about. I can also show it on this camera, but I thought it would be cool if we, for the first time, have two angles on this channel. All right, another cool thing, the weight of this camera. Now, I'm gonna talk about the materials a little bit later, but this camera is super light. It feels like a toy camera. That was actually my first impressions when I first got this camera. It feels like a toy camera, very light. Next, we have the ease of use. Now, this camera, as you can see, is pretty basic. It doesn't even have any huge or digital screens on it. It's pretty simple. So you take photos, you have an illuminator here of the amount of photos that you have taken, and you have a USB Type-C connector at the bottom of this camera. Once you connect your little camera, it would automatically come out as an external drive, and then you'll be able to download the photos straight from the camera onto your desktop or your computer. The easiest thing I've ever done, and that's probably one of the greatest things about this camera. Next, we're gonna talk about the materials on this camera, and I'm just gonna tell you straight out, everything on this camera is made out of plastic. There is not one single glass element, I feel like, in this camera, and that is probably why the camera is so lightweight. But yeah, all of the materials are plastic. This is fake leather, and yeah, the camera is made out of plastic. It feels like a toy camera, and yeah. Next, we're gonna talk about the price and the design of this camera. Now, the price is $59.99 US, and I feel that is a pretty steep price for a plastic camera, but we still haven't talked about the photos, and that's where I feel this camera has its biggest strengths. The design of this camera overall, I feel it's nice. It looks like a very traditional type of disposable camera that you could maybe find at the stores. They made it have this little leather looking material in the front, making it really nice, pretty nice design overall. So all right, now last but not least, what you guys have been waiting for, the photos. This camera takes really nice photos for an 8 megapixel camera. Now, you do maybe need to tweak them a little bit in post-production because I feel, this is just me personally, they come out kind of sharp. Kind of don't like that for my film photos, but with a little small tweak in Lightroom and you can get these things looking very nice. Maybe lower the clarity a little bit, and yeah, you're gonna have some really nice photos and you can definitely get that film vibe. The photos straight out of the camera I feel are very nice. They have very vibrant colors. Alright, now what do I think about this camera overall? Now remember, this is just a cheaper solution to make your photos look like film photos. Now obviously the film process is still a very nice thing to learn, especially if you've never tried it before, because you will learn a lot of things about photography when you do film. For example, I feel composition is probably one of the most important things when it comes to film photography. And that is why this camera does not have an LCD screen in the back. So you are not able to check your photos even though this is a digital camera. You know, the intent of this camera is to make you think like you're shooting film, making you use the same techniques that you would if you were actually shooting film. Composition, like I was talking about, is a very important thing once you transition from digital to film photography. So overall, I think this camera is great. The photos are pretty decent and nice. I feel, I mean, I've posted some of these on my Instagram and they are great. They look like film, and I feel it's a pretty cheap alternative if you don't want to go through the whole film process. So those are my final thoughts. Let me know what you think down in the comments down below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps out a lot. Subscribe. If you guys are not subscribed already, make sure you hit and smash the notification bell so you guys can get notified for future videos. And you guys be safe out there, and I will see you guys next week. Peace.